Welcome to the Xseed product training call. We're excited you could be here. Thank you all for joining us. Director of Research and Development, Dr. Leslie Jacobs, is here tonight, and my name is Susan Nicholas. I am your Director of Marketing and Promotions. After tonight's call, there's only 2 weeks left of our product training series, so if this is your first time here, a very special welcome to you. You can get playbacks of all of our product calls on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Xseed Media. Tonight's topic is our great tasting complete nutritional meal, Infuse. You've submitted some great questions over the past week, and now it's time to get your answers. So I turn it over to you, Dr. Leslie.
Well, thank you, Susan. Hello, everyone. Well, welcome back to Ask Dr. Leslie. I am Dr. Leslie Jacobs, and I'm calling from Xseed's corporate headquarters, again, here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're going to have another great discussion today about Xseed's complete meal Infuse. But before we get started and share all this great information with you, let me just start by saying that the statements that I'm sharing with you have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, and our products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any disease. In addition to that, the information that I'll be sharing with you is not intended to be taken as medical advice, and no therapeutic or medical claims are either implied or made. So don't alter any medical treatment or the use of your medication without the permission of your healthcare provider, and the FDA regulations prohibits the use of therapeutic or medical claims in conjunction with the sale of any product not approved by the FDA. So with that being said, Infuse. What a great product. It's our complete meal all in itself, and it comes in vanilla caramel swirl and chocolate roca. It's easy, it's delicious, and it is so convenient. So let's get started with some of the questions that came from out there in the field. So question one came from Fresno, and the question is, I've always heard that whey protein is considered one of the best type of proteins to consume in products, but what exactly is whey protein and how is it made? Well, that's a really good kind of technical question, and I would love to answer that. So let's just start by saying that, what is whey protein? What actually is it? So to do that, we really need to start with what is milk, basically in general. And milk is made of two different proteins, casein and whey. When milk is left over, it tends to coagulate, and then the whey refers to the watery portion of the milk that remains after it coagulates of the casein proteins, which is commonly known as the curdling, that leftover portion. That leftover solution, once you get the curdling and the casein, that leftover solution is kind of a combination of lactose, which is a carbohydrate that sometimes is referred to as milk sugar. And most of the milk minerals and some of the milk fat and most of the soluble non-casein milk proteins known as whey is what's left over. And that liquid, that whey liquid, is then separated from the casein, that curdling, and then it's sent through some filters to basically remove all of the non-whey ingredients. Then it's purified in a process called ion exchange, and then the final step is removing the water portion from that whey by turning it into a powder at a drying tower. Now the protein powder is then ready to be packaged and consumed. The use of the dry product instead of a liquid whey basically simplifies use, handling, storage, and has a much longer shelf life. Whey protein in general is considered what we call one of the 9 essential amino. Basically, it's a complete protein, which means it contains all of the 9 essential amino acids. Those are the amino acids that are not produced by the body, and you must consume it in your diet. That's what we mean by the 9 essential amino acids. In addition, whey protein is generally lower in lactose content. We have the whey protein concentrate in Infuse, and the whey protein concentrate basically in general kind of has lower levels of fat, lower levels of cholesterol, a little lower levels of carbohydrate lactose, but it does contain some. It does have little small amounts of fat, little small amounts of cholesterol, little smaller amounts of lactose, but it does contain some, but in general, lower in general. One of the real benefits of using whey protein concentrate instead of whey protein isolates, and I get asked that question all the time, is that whey protein concentrates are higher in bioactive compounds. That means that it has more nutrients and more benefits than just whey protein isolate, which is strictly the protein itself. So that's what we're talking about in comparison. We also have there are also different types of proteins that are also pre-digested. We did not go with that form either. Again, we have digestive enzymes that we have in Infuse already. So our protein is whey protein concentrate. Again, they have more bioactive compounds in general, and that's really an important concept to understand. Now, Infuse per serving basically has about 10 grams of actual whey protein concentrate in it, because we use an 80% concentrate to deliver a total of the 10 grams total. So that's what we're getting in Infuse, 10 grams whey protein concentrate. So that's a really good question. Now, question number 2. Is digestive enzymes. Sounds great to have in Infuse, but my husband asked me why, and I couldn't really give him an answer with any certainty, other than it probably helps with digestion. Well, you know what? You're absolutely right. That's kind of an interesting question. So let's just kind of talk about enzymes in general before we start talking about digestive enzymes. But enzymes in general are proteins that facilitate specific chemical reactions. So the role of digestive enzymes is basically to facilitate the chemical breakdown of food into just smaller absorbable components that can now be absorbed and enter into the bloodstream. Now, humans naturally produce multiple different enzymes at different places in the digestive tract, and it really actually starts in the mouth. Then there are different there's different enzyme classes, like the proteases basically break down proteins into smaller units called amino acids. The enzyme class of the lipase breaks down fats into smaller units called fatty acids. And the carbohydrates, carbohydrases break down carbohydrates into simple sugars. Now you see, all of these enzymes are breaking down bigger units into smaller units. Now humans, unlike members of the other biological kingdoms, lack certain digestive enzymes that break down compounds from plant cell walls like cellulose, pectins, and resistant starches. Now, these dietary compounds are basically called fiber. By definition, fiber is a non-digestible substance whose health benefits derive from its actual inability to properly get absorbed. And it survives that usual digestive process, and it remains unabsorbed as it basically just continues down and travels down the entire intestinal tract in the colon. But in addition, it's there where it feeds our intestinal residing bacteria and then contributes to what we call the intestinal bulk. I don't think there's a better way or less crude way of saying the word just the production of stool. We call it intestinal bulk. Now, let's get back to talking about enzymes. Once the smaller units of food, whether they're smaller units of carbohydrates or proteins or fats, they're now properly absorbed in the bloodstream because they've been now broken down into smaller units for the body to now use. And then once it's absorbed, it kind of reassembles into other specific forms that your body needs to create different things like energy or repair or regenerate tissues, organs, muscles, and then really has a lot of other functions. Now, if this process does not function properly, and you are not able to break down the food groups into smaller units to be properly absorbed, then really proper absorption just does not occur. And as a result, the lack of the proper building blocks that your body needs to create fuel and growth and muscle repair and rejuvenation and tissue generation and just general health for that matter, and then life really for that matter. So in addition, when food is not properly digested and broken down for proper absorption, then it basically just remains in the intestines and then travels through the intestines, providing sometimes, unfortunately, nutrient-rich material that then fosters the growth of certain unhealthy bacteria and yeast. And then what happens is you get this overgrowth of intestinal bacteria and yeast ensues. So in summary, your body produces many digestive enzymes, but adding digestive enzymes in a nutritional product, our complete meal, I should say, our complete meal all in itself, enhances and supports the digestive process of its ingredients. So what digestive enzymes are found in Infuse? Proteases, invertase, amylase, lactase, cellulase, lipase, maltase. We have it all covered. All of the enzymes are covered for good help to break down for proper absorption of not only the proteins, the carbs, the fats, but helps with that fiber too. So next question. We have question number 3. And question number 3 is, do we have, well, this is kind of touches on the fiber we just touched on earlier. Do we have soluble and insoluble fiber in Infuse? And the answer is yes, we have them both. As each one basically has different benefits. So let's just back up and talk about fiber in general just a little bit more, and then you'll understand the importance and why it's so important to have it Infuse. Well, dietary fiber, also kind of known as roughage or bulk, includes all parts of plant foods that your body generally can't digest or absorb. As I mentioned in the previous question, other food components like carbs and proteins and fats, which your body breaks down to absorb, differs from fiber, which does not, and I repeat, does not get broken down and absorbed, but remains basically undigested and passes relatively intact in your stomach to the small intestines and then the larger intestines. But there's 2 different classes of fiber. There's insoluble, which means does not dissolve when coming in contact with water in the intestines. And then there's soluble, which means it does dissolve in water and forms this kind of gel or gelatinous type of material. So when insoluble fiber, like, let me give you another example, like oat bran, like we have that in addition in Infuse, or other things like maybe wheat bran or nuts or vegetables, things like that are consumed, they do not dissolve and acts basically like a broom sweeping inside the intestines, and it also adds in bulk to the stool. Now, soluble fiber, again in contrast, does dissolve in liquid and forms this gelatinous or gel-like material. And it then it binds to the bile acids that are necessary and are required for the absorption of fat. So now it's binding to bile acids that again, necessary for fat absorption, so you can see where that will play a role. So overall, fiber, very, very, very important for many reasons, but notably supporting good intestinal health. And that's why we have in Infuse soluble and insoluble fiber. Question number 4. Okay, so this question is it says, what exactly are probiotics, and do we have prebiotics in Infuse? The answer is yes. So let's just start by talking about probiotics in general. Probiotics are live microorganisms. Sounds crazy, but it is. Usually bacteria that are similar to the beneficial microorganisms that are naturally found in the human intestinal tract. Now, there's good bacteria, and then there's bad bacteria. Our intestinal tract has hundreds, and I mean hundreds of different bacterial species residing there, a place where they basically just call home. Now, most of the bacteria found in our intestines have a purpose, and they help our body, or better yet, the intestines, to function and facilitate digestion, and helps basically, in addition, helps with the immune system. Now, there are several vitamins and nutrients that are created and assimilated in this process. So there are multiple benefits to healthy bacteria called probiotics that reside in the gastrointestinal tract. In addition, when these healthy bacteria are in abundance, again, the healthy bacteria are found in abundance in your body and your intestines, it makes it harder for the unhealthy bacteria to take foothold in your body, and sometimes the more healthy bacteria that resides in your intestines, it allows the healthy bacteria to even suppress the growth of the harmful bacteria. Now, the probiotics that we have in Infuse is Lactobacillus acidophilus, and that's one of the more commonly known and well-known probiotics. But to answer question number 2, what are prebiotics? And do we have prebiotics also in Infuse? And the answer is yes. Basically, they're the food for our probiotics, your healthy microorganisms. So keep in mind that your organisms, your probiotics, your good healthy bacteria need a food source to survive. And our food source for our probiotic, which is now called our prebiotic, is fructooligosaccharides. So probiotics actually supply food necessary for the healthy bacteria, the probiotics, and it basically helps to nourish the good bacteria in your intestines, and also helps to feed the, again, the Lactobacillus acidophilus that is supplied and in Infuse. So that's a really good question, and there's a lot of questions out there of probiotics and prebiotics and the importance of it, and really it's becoming such a powerful trend in the industry right now, and we have that in Infuse, and it's just a great, great, great thing. Really helps and supports the intestinal health. Question number 5. What a clever idea to come up with a complete meal versus just another protein shake that everyone else has on the market. Well, thank you for that. But you're absolutely right. And I say this quite frequently, and it's a really important concept. There's more to a meal than protein alone. People tend to put so much emphasis on protein, 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 but there's so much more nutrition and nutrients you get from a nice diverse blend that you're getting, and that's exactly what you're getting from our complete meal all in itself in Infuse. Again, more to a meal than protein alone, and that is exactly why we formulated and created Infuse. It's basically a complete meal in itself. First of all, we've included, as I mentioned earlier, 10 grams of whey protein concentrate. Not isolate, but concentrate. Why? Well, remember I said earlier that whey protein concentrate has more bioactive nutrients than a whey protein isolate. So that's why we decided to go with the whey protein concentrate. If we wanted to create a protein shake, which we didn't, but if we did, then we would have probably used a whey protein isolate just because that's all it's giving you is just protein. But we didn't want to do that. We wanted to get a lot of bioactive nutrients, and that's why we went with the concentrate. And because it's a complete meal, whey protein concentrate was the best way to go. In addition, now that you understand the importance of fiber and the importance of probiotics and prebiotics and now even digestive enzymes, and something that we have not even talked about yet that happens to be Infused, which is our beautiful blend of vitamins and minerals that's also found in Infuse. So you get it all, basically, a nice, well-rounded, complete meal all in itself. And I've said it, and I'm going to say it again, keep in mind, more to a meal than protein alone. Now, another point that I want to mention, and it's most people basically have a difficulty assimilating high whey protein products. So once you start getting into the 13, 14, 15 gram range of protein products that are out there, there's per serving, people have a hard time and difficulty with it, but why? Well, the intestinal bacteria that we talked about earlier love, and I mean love, love, love to feed off of whey protein. So although it's a great source of protein, your intestinal bacteria loves to feed off of it, and as a result, you may experience bloating and excessive gas when consuming higher protein products on the market once you go beyond the 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 grams per serving. And that's why, another reason why we stayed with 10 grams. We're in double digits. It's a good amount. It's great for a complete meal all in itself. And that's why we don't see that bloating and that gas that you see with so many other products on the market that are heavy, heavy, heavy on the protein. They just don't tolerate, basically most people just don't tolerate that high protein product. And then they're miserable. And then they're not taking it. So a complete meal instead of a high protein shake was the only way to go. We believe at Xseed, and without question, the success that we've gotten with Infuse is just astounding. There are thousands of companies out there with protein powders, but we're unique. We want to be different at Xseed, and we're so proud of our complete meal Infuse, and in addition, the ease and the convenience and the taste and the user-friendly nature, and last but certainly not least, you know, as it stands, is just a complete meal in itself. And that was just a great question. I love that question because people ask all the time, what makes it different? What makes it unique? And that's exactly what makes it so different and what makes it so unique. Question number 6. Can I mix Infuse with other milk substitutes, or is it best in just water alone? Well, the answer is absolutely yes. You can mix it in anything you want, but when we created and formulated Infuse, and when we initiated the whole thing, the goal was to create a product that could and would taste great with just water alone for a number of reasons. Number one, a good portion, I should say even a large portion of the American population can't and do not tolerate dairy products at all, because many people suffer from different levels and degrees of lactose intolerance. So they're unable to drink milk. So, you know, we wanted to mix it in with water because a lot of people don't tolerate putting it in 8 ounces of fat-free milk, regular milk. A lot of people don't tolerate soy. So we're eliminating that 8 ounces of milk substitutes that people would have to put in if we required it to be mixed in milk. So when we created it and formulated it, we wanted it to taste great in just water alone. Again, lactose intolerance people who were mixing in with 8 ounces of milk or milk substitutes, they experience a lot of gas, bloating, abdominal cramping, and it's just utter misery for them. So we did not want to create a product where it required to be mixed in milk or milk substitute. So during formulation, like many other products on the market, we really wanted it to be mixed in and taste great in just water alone. And if we had to mix it with milk like so many other products on the market, we would be eliminating literally a lot of potential consumers. And it's very hard. I got to tell you, it's hard to get a product like that, a complete meal, to taste great in just water alone. And we worked very, 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 very hard to get the taste, to get the texture, to get the mouthfeel to be spectacular when mixed with just water alone. In addition, it's very user-friendly. You can take it to work, and it doesn't require, having to refrigerate any milk substitutes, or you don't have to get a blender. You don't have to get the blender out and blend, and, you don't have to store your milk anywhere. You don't have to. When I tell you it tastes great with water alone, it's phenomenal. It mixes well with water alone. There's no clumps. There's no grit. The taste is nice and thick and smooth, and it's delicious. So it's easy, convenient, tastes great, delicious. If you desire to mix it in with fat-free milk or low-fat milk or regular milk or almond milk, which a lot of people love, it's great. You can do it. You can even mix it in the blender with juice or fruit, fresh fruit or frozen fruit. It also tastes amazing that way. Have fun with it. Be creative with it, but keep in mind, very user-friendly and phenomenal in just water alone. So that's a great question. I get asked that a lot. It was important for us to get a product that could just taste as good as it did with just water alone. So question number 7, is there any sugar in Infuse? Well, the sweetener that we used in Infuse is actually sucralose. It's not sugar. There is, however, 1 gram of sugar, and it's actually less than a gram, but for label purposes, we had to round up to the nearest whole number. And that tiny, teeny, tiny amount is coming from the fructooligosaccharides. Remember the prebiotic, the food that we gave to the probiotics? That's where part of that sugar is coming from. So it's that fructooligosacharide, that prebiotic that we're putting in to feed the probiotics. So that's an interesting question. So we have question number 8. I had a lot of questions on Infuse this week. Question 8. All that in 90 calories, and there was a question at the end of that. Yes, it's all that in 90 calories when it's mixed with water alone. But if you add almond milk or milk substitutes or blend it with fruit, obviously the calorie content goes up accordingly depending on what you're mixing it in with. But if you mix it with just water alone, yes, 90 calories or less. Question number 9. When is the best time to drink Infuse? Well, that basically depends on you. Depends on your usual day and your usual habits. If you tend to skip breakfast, I strongly recommend that you start your day with Infuse. That way you're really basically getting some really good nutrition first thing in the morning, a great complete meal all in itself, and you're not starving your body until lunchtime. If you tend to eat a little breakfast but skip lunch, then take it to work and mix 2 scoops in cold water and drink it down at lunchtime. That way you're giving yourself, again, another great nutritional complete meal all in itself, and you're not eating or snacking on junk, nor are you starving your body at that point. So it's really good at either the morning or at lunchtime, especially if you are a meal skipper. I recommend that you drink, that you have at least 1 per day. Many days I have 1 in the morning, and then I usually drink another one mid-afternoon, so I don't end up snacking on the wrong things, because mid-afternoon I tend to get a little hungry, and sometimes I snack on some of the wrong things. So it keeps me out of trouble, and also helps manage my appetite. Again, that's just kind of a personal opinion in there. Mid-afternoon really kind of takes that little hunger pain away, and it keeps you out of trouble snacking on some stuff in the afternoon. So I drink it actually usually 2 times a day. Question number 10. How many times per day can you drink Infuse? Well, I kind of addressed that issue in the previous question, but to be a little bit more, outward about it, you really is many times as you want. Sometimes I drink it up to 3 times a day, depending on the day. It was basically created to be a complete meal, but keep in mind it's not, and I mean, again, not intended to replace your meals, because I've been asked that before. Well, if it's a complete meal, can I just drink Infuse all day long and skip my meals? The answer is no. You can't do that. It's not a replacement of all your meals, and to not ever eat. Absolutely not. Remember, balance, balance, balance. Your body needs fuel. It needs a healthy diet, proper amount of calories per day, to very important to sustain your body in a healthy fashion. Balanced diet, exercise, lifestyle modifications is always important for good health. Eating several smaller meals through the day, and do not skip meals. But you can't drink Infuse as one of your meals and one of your snacks if you would like, and that's generally what I do. I drink one in the morning and the other one mid-afternoon day, as I mentioned just a little while ago. And again, satisfies my appetite, keeps me out of trouble, and it basically holds me over until dinner time without a lot of extra snacking. And it's a good routine to get in, but at least one a day, absolutely. Question number 11, and this is the last question. Are we coming out with other flavors in addition to vanilla caramel swirl and chocolate roca? And the answer is no. It's not in the plan. Keep in mind that the reason we created both of these flavors is because they're the most popular. They're the most popular flavors, and very, very, very easy to add things to change the taste if you so desire. For instance, the vanilla caramel swirl, or even chocolate roca for that matter, I add peanut butter powder to it. I add it mostly to my vanilla caramel swirl in the morning, and then sometimes in the afternoon I'll add a squirt of, of some of those sugar-free flavorings that you sometimes see at, Starbucks, or you can get it at Costco or Sam's Club. Maybe I'll put a little squirt in that of cherry, dark cherry. It gives a little bit of a berry flavor to it. But I got to tell you, I generally drink it without putting anything else in it. You can blend it. You could put the fruit in it. You could put anything in it you want. But we're not coming out with any additional flavors. We made those two flavors that you could put in anything you want if you want to kind of mix the taste up a little bit. My mom sometimes puts a little bit of her coffee in it, and it gives it a little coffee flavor. My husband, on the flip side, will never, ever put anything in it. He likes the plain vanilla caramel swirl and the chocolate roca. He'll never, other than just water, he won't put it. So it's basically up to you. Depends on your mood, but again, we're not coming out with any other flavors. Those are the flavors that are very, very easy to add things to if you so choose and you are in the mood. So, well, that's it for today. We had great, great, great questions. Another great session with some really good questions. Keep up the good work out there, and we're going to meet up again next week. And next week's product pick of the week is going to be AOX Complete. So you guys have a great week. It was a great session, great questions out there. Keep sending the questions in, and this is just a lot of fun. So I appreciate it. Thank you guys, everybody, and we'll see you next week. All right, take care.